My husband, 39 per meter, wants me, 33, all to himself but wants other women too. My husband and I have been together for 7 years. On many levels he is my best friend and the kindest and most caring individual. But there are things I cannot talk to anyone I know about except for my husband, and he sees things very differently than I do. And this leaves me confused. I have tremendous trauma from childhood sexual abuse. Sex was always painful for me and I never enjoyed it. Until my husband. He was the first man to ever give me an orgasm. Our sex is incredible. Which is why it hurts that I'm not enough. We have had threesomes with 2 of my friends, during which he has had penetrative sex with them. Both situations ended up awful for me. One friend tried to move into our relationship, which I was not comfortable with. We had a major falling out and haven't spoken in 4 years. It breaks my heart what happened because we were very close. The second was more of an acquaintance, and she told a bunch of people, including a mutual ex-boyfriend who sent me screenshots, that my husband wouldn't stop hitting on her. But I don't know what that's supposed to mean because they were literally having sex. It was a lot of drama that made me feel embarrassed. I have no friends now. My husband has a very wide social circle due to his job in our state's cannabis industry. This circle includes tons of women, and my husband is very attractive. I feel very much outside of it all. I used to be very attractive too. But I have put on some weight and am now 140 pounds at 5 feet 6 inches. I know that isn't awful, but the women he knows and follows and likes their pictures on social media are so much more attractive than me. I'm also not his preferred body type anymore. He told me he loves little cupcakes. My breasts are natural 3-2ff. I always have loved my breasts, which are somehow still perky in my 30s. But now I feel self-conscious about them. Both women we had threesomes with had small breasts. He also loves big fake butts now. My butt is just medium, so I asked if he wants me to get surgery. He said I can just do workouts to make my butt bigger. I've been trying so hard for the past couple of months to no avail. Other things he likes are long fake nails, fake eyelashes, dreadlocks, neck tattoos, and hair extensions. But he says repeatedly that he doesn't want me to have these things because they're gross. So basically, my husband's ideal woman looks nothing like me. I used to love my body, but now I can't stand to look in the mirror. We still have great sex. But he admits that he would love another threesome and thinks about it often. I cried recently and told him it hurts to think of sharing the one person who I love and who I've ever had pleasurable sex and orgasms with and to let other women experience what I get to experience. I asked him if he just wants to have sex with other people and have an open relationship. He said not if that means you will get with other men and got really upset by the idea of me with another man. I only want him, but I still asked why it was so upsetting when I have watched him have sex with my friends. He said, I wouldn't even let another man drive my truck. Which seemed like an odd thing to say. So every day I wake up, frown at my huge boobs and wish they were smaller, do all kinds of strenuous exercises to try to grow a butt that seems impossible but my husband insists is possible, research plastic surgery, cry, and try to do and be everything to make my husband happy. My husband wishes I didn't make myself so miserable and assures me he loves me how I am. He compliments me all the time and says he loves all kinds of women's bodies but that should never take away from me and I am making myself suffer for no reason. I am tired of being sad. How do I love myself again? Am I being unreasonable? I feel like I'm losing my mind. Sorry I typed so much. Too long did not read. Husband wants threesomes with other women. We have done so in the past and I ended up very hurt. He still wants them. Husband is most attracted to bodies that look nothing like mine and women who look nothing like me but insists he loves me how I am and doesn't understand why I have no self-esteem anymore. I'm very sad and confused all the time. I need help. Your husband is an immature, inconsiderate asshole. Seriously, he doesn't care about your feelings at all. Why are you still married to this guy? How do I love myself again? Unfortunately, I don't think you can as long as you are with him. I'll bet that there is a lot of mental and emotional abuse in your relationship that you aren't telling us about. I would go to therapy, to work on yourself Eastern. And also, your husband literally was referring to you as an object that he owns, possesses. Wouldn't even let another guy drive his truck. He doesn't see you as his wife, who he should be revering and shooting, and putting your wants and needs above others. He's just looking to get his dick wet and satisfy his sexual wants. Fuck what is doing to you. He doesn't care about how this hurts you. And you're sacrificing your self-esteem to make him happy. Why are his wants more important than your self-worth? Seems like another classic case of a woman letting her boyfriend, husband do whatever he wants, including F other women, because she's scared to lose him. You simply have no self-esteem and he knows this. Quit living trying to impress him, dump him and get a man that loves you for you. You'll be happy you did. And you want to have surgery for this selfish asshole? Please, put in some time and effort to regain your self-respect. Maybe therapy? Due to your past trauma, you are very vulnerable to manipulation and unhealthy relationship dynamics. Take some time to heal. Rule 1. Date people who make you feel attractive. This marriage is overdue. This is a hard rule. Your husband makes you feel like crap. I hate him. This is why I never support having threesomes while in relationships. They just cause way too much pain and trouble than it's even worth. Plus, you should be all he wants. Your husband kinda sounds like a total jerk. Update. My 32F spouse, 35M, is a drug addict and I don't know what to do anymore. I want to thank everyone who took the time to comment on my last post. Your kind words and advice gave me a much-needed reality check. So a lot has happened since then, and once again, I could really use advice and direction. I'll try to keep this one a little more brief. He works out of town. On Wednesday, after yet another fight, I let him know that I was taking a full-time position and that we would be ending the relationship. He immediately got on a plane home to fix things. He had me book him an Airbnb close to the airport, about 30 minutes from us, and said he wouldn't bother me all week, just had to come home to get help and support. After he got off his flight, I later found out, he picked up immediately and went on a bender that evening. The next morning he showed up at our house while I was getting the kids ready for school. In front of them he was begging and pleading me to give him another chance, etc., etc. I kept telling him he shouldn't have come and that no is a complete sentence, that I was done, all that. Meanwhile I had texted my parents. My dad was working nearby and came as soon as he could. He told my ex, in not very nice, that he needed to leave, and leave me alone. He ended up asking if he could use our vehicle for a few days to make it to meetings and stuff instead of cabbing everywhere. I am not good under pressure and agreed. After my dad left, my mom arrived. She was disappointed that he had taken our vehicle and essentially stranded me and the kids, so she called him right away and said if he could bring it back, she would take him to rent a vehicle. He did bring it back, and tried to leave right away to take a taxi, but she chased him out of the house and tried to speak with him. He later told me that he had been planning to take his own life, and that her kindness and compassion was what saved him. She took him to get a rental, and dropped him off at a meeting. Ever since then he has been going to 1-2 meetings a day and reconnecting with old friends. He told his dad what was going on, etc. But on to the problem. No matter how many times he says he is going to leave me alone, he calls me so often. And when he calls, he talks significant other much. He says significant other much. And it's all stuff I've heard before. This time is different, this time I feel different, this time I'm doing it for me, that doesn't really affect me. I've heard it too many times. But he just keeps going. Maybe after a while I could move into the basement so I can help you and be with the kids. Told him I'm not comfortable with that, obviously. Now he's saying things like, 2 wrongs don't make a right, we had so many good times too, and now you're punishing me for my mistakes. I'm not even the same person right now. I'll never, ever use again, it just makes me feel like screaming. So here is where I need advice. Do I need to move? Do I need a lawyer? I don't necessarily want to keep him from seeing his kids. They really do love and idolize him. On the other hand, his behavior has been so erratic. Has anyone had kids, and had to end a relationship with their addict parent? I really need some perspective on this. I know he's still trying to manipulate me. I've tried explaining to him that I don't know if I will ever be willing to take a gamble on a relationship with an addict. But he just doesn't seem to get it. Since we are parents together and have history, he seems to feel entitled to another chance. But there has been too many chances. So, what do I do next? Yes, I am starting at a full-time position in 2 weeks and there are supports I can apply for, financially. Too long did not read. We are separated and I don't know what my next steps should be regarding custody, living arrangements, and managing co-parenting with an addict, who hopefully stays in recovery. Sorry you are going through all of this. My fiancé is an alcoholic, so I understand what it's like being with an addict. I'm glad to hear he is turning things around and getting help. Unfortunately, it is normally when it's too little too late. I would just keep him at bay. Tell him you are just too jaded and burned from what has happened. You need to continue to see him make positive changes. Support him but from afar. You do need to protect yourself from the emotional rollercoaster that is dealing with an addict. Give him strong boundaries. If he doesn't stay in recovery, he won't have access to the kids because it's simply not safe for them. Keep him accountable. Get a lawyer. Start divorce, custody paperwork. Doesn't mean you have to file it right away. Supervised visitation since he mentioned being suicidal. My mother is an addict. My father had to leave her as well when me and my siblings were young. I don't have a relationship with her to this day because she chose drugs over us. Since addiction can be genetic, I've always been careful not to experiment with them because I've seen what happened to my mom. I said all this to say it depends on the situation and person. Some addicts work hard and can have relationships with their kids, but some don't. It just depends. But the most important thing is that you look after your kids first. We had so many good times too, and now you're punishing me for my mistakes. Yes, it's called the consequences of your own actions. Suck it up. Lawyer up and stop answering his calls. Words are meaningless from a drug addict. Don't believe a word he says. You really need to talk to a lawyer and suspend custody with him having the kids. If he's as unstable as you're saying, he's not safe to watch over the kids. He might be nice to them when he's sober, but he's a different person when he's drinking, and you should do what you can to protect your children from him. Maybe tell him that he's only allowed to contact you through email and block him anywhere else. He's banned from approaching the house and need to see a therapist and need to show positive change for X amount of time before you might ease up. Talk to a lawyer to set up things. They usually know where a good start might be as well as a legal trail if anything should happen. He's not entitled to anything no matter what when it comes to you. The only person that can help an addict to get well is the addict themselves. Nothing, and I mean nothing else, will do it. Sober now 24 years. Found my 25 male partner, 24 female, sleeping in bed with a guy friend of hers. A little backstory first. My partner, we aren't married but have a 20-month-old and have been together 6 years, recently started a job at a restaurant. People tend to gravitate towards her and she picked up a lot of friends quickly. She quickly became friends with this one guy, and spends a lot of time with him. She often works late, doesn't get off until 10:30–12 depending on the shift, and lately has been hanging out after work with friends. Often, she will go over to the friend's house and hang out some more and gets home sometimes as late as 4 a.m. This has been causing issues in our relationship, because she often doesn't communicate very well while she's out. She says she doesn't like using her phone around friends. I've talked to her about it and she says she will do better, but she just isn't. So yesterday she told me that she was going to try to stay the night with a girlfriend of hers. Her girlfriend doesn't stay up late, so it was kind of up in the air if it was going to happen at all. I was exhausted last night, so I ended up going to sleep well before she got off. It turns out that her girlfriend didn't want to hang out, so she decided to go to her guy friend's house. At almost 1 a.m. she texted me and said she couldn't wait to see me or something. Then at 4 a.m. she said that she was going to sleep on the couch and go to work when she woke up, since her job is very close to her friends. When I woke up this morning, I was quite disappointed to see that she wasn't in bed with me, but figured she went to her girlfriend's house. After reading the texts, I found out where she was. I was pretty put off. I also realized about that time that my son's stroller was in the car, and we wouldn't have any way to get out of the house until she got off work at like 4 p.m. So I got a babysitter, called an Uber, and headed to her guy friend's house. Once I got there, I got some things out of the car that she'd need for work and began knocking on the door, which is right beside the couch she was supposed to be sleeping on. After 10 minutes of knocking, I went around back and tried the door. It was unlocked, so I went in. My plan was to set her stuff down where she could see it and leave immediately. I was literally only there for the car. But when I came in, no one was on the couch. So I went to her guy friend's room, and there they are, sleeping in bed together. They were both fully clothed and not cuddling or anything. I immediately called out to both of them, "Hey, this is not cool. Sleeping together in the same bed and not okay." Or something like that. Her friend immediately said, "It's not like that," and my partner and I went outside to talk. She explained that it was harmless, and that when she went to sleep, he wasn't in bed with her. She wanted to sleep on the couch, but there were still people at his house, so she asked if she could go sleep in his bed. At some point I guess he came and got in bed with her. She says that she went to sleep alone, and next thing she knows she is awake and I am there. I don't think anything happened between them, but this is just not okay. After we talked, I told her that I just need some time from her, and I left. She ended up texted me saying that she was quitting her job because it was toxic and that it was keeping her from being a good mother and partner. She was very apologetic and said she wants to remove obstacles and make things work. However, it seems to me that she often has these realizations that she is not being a good partner, but soon just falls back into the old habits. I truly love her, but lately I feel like I don't know her anymore. She spends so much time away from home and I am often just left to watch our son. I want to make it work, but I am slowly realizing that I deserve better than this. It's more alarming that she'd rather spend the night with strangers than her almost 2-year-old, not even getting into the "it's not what it looks like" sleeping arrangements. I suppose that fact that you found the two of them fully clothed should provide at least some comfort. But the fact that she would rather be out most of the night rather than come home to her family is definitely concerning. Nothing wrong with having friends, or being out late as an adult. But she has to realize that being a parent means being more responsible with her priorities than she is. You're not her babysitter. Your job is not to watch the kid while she goes out and acts like she doesn't have any. Tell her to grow TF up. If she doesn't want to be a mother, she needs to be clear about that. If she does, well, tell her to start acting like it. I can't understand her. When I get off work, my top priority is seeing my daughter as fast as possible. Nah, screw that shit, dude. She has no respect for you whatsoever. I'll tell you firsthand that anyone in the other dude's situation who had zero interest sexually in your girlfriend would have slept on the floor or waited for the people to leave and slept on the couch. They wouldn't have gotten into bed with her. Also, this whole "I can't wait to see you" BS doesn't even line up with her actions. If she couldn't wait to see you, she would have made the time to see you, even if it's simply just waking up beside the other person. If you're already having doubts and feeling as though you deserve better, leave. It's never easy with kids, but at least you won't have to be around someone that lacks any and all common sense when it comes to being a parent or being in a relationship. You are already a single dad. You just don't know it. Go ahead and formalize that by breaking up with your girlfriend so she can party to her heart's content and you'll always have the stroller. First she tells you that she will sleep at a girlfriend's place. Then at the guy's couch when you had no chance to object, and then you find out that they were in bed, which was surely planned. Thing is, she would have never told you about that. She would have only said that she was on the couch. They either already had sex or it will happen in the next days. Tell her to get tested for STDs. It isn't what it looks like is such a common excuse, and now guess what? In 99.9% of the cases it is exactly what it looks like. So your partner cheated on you and then quits her job, because it's toxic and making her a bad partner and mother. Leaving you with all the bills, and if you break up, she's out of work and can't afford to take care of her baby. She's manipulative as shit, my dude. You need to end things like last week. Fully clothed or not, and no matter how long you have known him, this is still an extremely compromising position to put herself in. Most respectful women in relationships would not do this willingly. And even fewer men would be as cool as you are about it. To each his own. And yay, I get the whole having kids too early concept. But the thing is, it still happened. Her ignoring her responsibilities as a mother just means that you have to take them on top of your own. And you sound like a decent enough dude, so I'm sure you're doing fine. But it still isn't fair to your or y'all's child. Me, 33F, and my boyfriend, 34M, separated, but he won't accept it. Help. Hello there. Long post but in desp need of advice. I've been with my partner for about 11 months. We met online. Things went quickly and we said I love you really early on into the relationship. We were amazing. After 5 months, I asked him to come home with me for Christmas for the whole 2 weeks to see friends, family and the country I am from. He does not have a job, so I paid for everything, but I wanted to. My family hosted him, made him food, etc. The only problem is that we went into lockdown and were confined. He refused to even go on a walk and instead sulked. During this time, I found him chatting to women on Tinder. He said it was to make friends. I asked him to delete it and he did. Fast track to Valentine's Day, which I spent alone as he needed space. He received nudes from a woman who invited him to her place for sex. He showed me photos and I asked him to delete them, but they still made me feel really unsettled. Then he started talking to women on Facebook groups, reaching out to them in his spare time. Since he still didn't have a job, he told me he did this because he felt alone. He said he was flirting, but it was harmless and it was me he loved. It broke my heart. He began asking me to live with him full time, because he was so lonely he couldn't take it anymore. We nearly broke up again here because I couldn't do it and had my own life with my living situation and friends that I didn't want to give up on yet. I said that I would do it little by little and ended up there 5 days a week, which still wasn't enough. Things got really intense with us and we decided to move in with each other and started looking. We honestly loved each other and I don't think I had felt this way about a person. My friends though didn't like him, they would always argue when he came around and things would be uncontrollable. He held down a Joe for 3 weeks before quitting. I was lending him money where I could. We found a place to live and I was the one earning, so I was going to put $5K down as a deposit. That week though, I found him chatting to another woman on FB, who he met on chat roulette and spent hours googling her name to find her. I know because I read the chat while he was on the loo. The chat was really flirtatious. He said yay, he was talking to her and wouldn't stop. We broke up over it. He said my friends hated him and I didn't support him, and I said I couldn't take these women and the flirting. Now he has decided that he can't let go of the relationship. He phones me, messages me and says that we loved each other so we can work through it. He has learned from his mistakes. When I cancelled the flat, he went mental and I had to get the police involved to get my belongings back. I've said I want to be friends, that I am moving home, but he won't accept it. What can I do? I love the guy and I hate seeing him like this. I feel like I have destroyed his world. Too long did not read. How do I let the guy, the first love, but who hurt me, realize that it is over? You didn't destroy his world, he did. You clearly told him to stop having emotional and possibly sexual relationships with women online and he didn't listen. I am so sorry, but it sounds more like he wanted a free ride and now he is pissed he messed it up. You deserve so much better than this. He doesn't get to decide, it's not over. If you end the relationship, that's it. It doesn't have to be consensual. Block him across the board. Change your locks. He's been mooching off you and needs to support himself. He's also been cheating on you basically your whole relationship. You deserve better. He didn't love you. He loved not having to work because you would give him money and pay for things. You're so much better off without him. As others have said, block him and move on. Zero contact regardless of what he tries and alert authorities to the situation if you feel you need to. My ex-fiancé is like this. For your own mental health, stop with the "we can still be friends" mentality, because that is such a toxic way to think when it comes to someone like this. You need to cut all contact. This man keeps hurting you and yet you are willing to keep him in your life? You need to take a moment and realize he will never change. In fact, he will most likely start trying to gaslight, harass, guilt you into getting back with him if he hasn't already. Please realize you deserve better. He doesn't deserve to have you in his life. Please don't keep him in your life. You have the right to unilaterally make the decision you've made. He can't stop you. You have to communicate really clearly. Tell him, in as many words, I don't want to be with you anymore. Stop contacting me, do it in writing. Do it each time he reaches out, copy and paste. If he doesn't stop, block him. Definitely don't take any calls from him. If he won't stop, the fact that it's in writing, and you haven't answered his many phone calls, may be useful in securing legal protections if that eventually becomes necessary. I'm trying to understand what kind of future you expect to have with a man in his mid-30s who you keep financially supporting, can't hold down a job, and can't live without outside female attention. Do yourself a favor, Google dopamine relationships. That's what you've been in for the past year. Move out, block him, and move on. So you're telling me you can't block a lying-ass jobless loser? Girl, you need to grow a self-esteem and realize that men like that will get you nowhere and kick him out of your life. I've said I want to be friends. Do not be his friend.